Ahoy there, and welcome to Nautical Tales and Nature Trails, recreation in southeastern Connecticut and southern Rhode Island. I'm Will Morrissey. I'm your host for the show. My wife, Bridget, is the producer of the show. She's in the booth back there, but she races up and down the shoreline as a real estate agent. She's a realtor that likes to help people find their dream home, and she's traveling from Old Lyme to Charlestown. She's zigzagging from Mystic to Mashantucket up to Uncasville, finding a home for folks, but she's also gone by all of these great places that are in the area. So many places, so many attractions, and we want to let you know about them. So that's why we wrote the book, Nautical Tales and Nature Trails. And today we're going to be talking about one of the things right here in Old Mystic, the Old Mystic History Center, and we've got John Goodrich with us. Hi, John.
Hey, Will. Nice to meet you.
Hey, glad to have you aboard. How did you get involved with the Old Mystic History Center?
Well, so I've been a lifelong history buff, born and raised in Mystic. Used to go there as a kid, actually, to check out what they had, and got a notification that they were looking for a new board member. So I applied for the position, and here we are.
Well, that's great. The center used to be called the Indian and Colonial Research Center.
Yes, it did.
You know, we've got a little video that talks about the History Center. Why don't we run that for everybody?
The Old Mystic History Center, preserving the past for future generations. Nestled in the historic 1856 Mystic Bank Building at 39 Main Street in Old Mystic, Connecticut, the Old Mystic History Center stands as a beacon of historical preservation and community engagement. This nonprofit organization has evolved over decades to serve as a museum, library, and exhibit gallery dedicated to safeguarding the rich history of Southeastern Connecticut. Founded in 1965 to preserve the historical research of Eva Lutz Butler, the center has grown into a vital resource for researchers, genealogists, and history enthusiasts alike. The founding vision. Eva Lutz Butler was a pioneering woman who defied the gender norms of her time. When women were not expected to lead archaeological digs, conduct anthropological interviews, or write academic papers, Butler passionately pursued historical research. Her dedication to preserving local history, particularly that of southern New England indigenous peoples, laid the foundation for what would become a significant historical institution. On December 9, 1965, a group led by Harry W. Nelson and Mary Virginia Goodman formed the Indian and Colonial Research Center, known as the ICRC, to preserve Butler's historical collection. They purchased the 1856 Mystic Bank Building in Old Mystic from the town of Stonington for the symbolic price of $1, creating a permanent home for Butler's notebooks, manuscripts, printed volumes, and cultural items that were previously housed in her historic farmhouse in Ledyard. The historic building. The center's home in the 1856 Mystic Bank Building is itself a piece of living history. This charming Greek Revival structure reflects the economic significance of Mystic in the 19th century. The building's architecture and location on Route 27 in Old Mystic make it not just a repository of history, but a historical landmark in its own right. Despite challenges over the years, including the natural wear of time on a structure dating back to the mid-19th century, the building has remained a steadfast home for Butler's invaluable collection and the growing archives of the center. Its preservation represents the center's commitment to maintaining physical connections to the past while looking toward the future. Evolution and rebranding. For more than 30 years, members of the Indian and Colonial Research Center's Board of Directors discussed updating the identity of the center to better reflect its evolving mission. In January of 2020, after a 2-year deliberative process, the board made the decision to rebrand as the Old Mystic History Center. This name change wasn't merely cosmetic, but reflected a significant expansion in the center's collections and purpose. While indigenous and colonial materials remain central to its collection, the center now encompasses a broader array of historical artifacts, documenting the rich and varied history of the area. The board recognized their responsibility to care for and promote all items under their stewardship, maintaining relevance, visibility, and viability in the 21st century. This evolution underscores the center's commitment to staying relevant in the modern era while honoring its roots, emphasizing community involvement and accessibility as vital steps toward connecting more people with their heritage. Collections and research resources. The Old Mystic History Center holds a robust collection of books, transcriptions, photographs, and original manuscripts on historical New London County people, places, and events, with a special emphasis on southern New England indigenous peoples. For more than 50 years, these materials have assisted researchers in finding accurate and interesting historical information for a wide variety of purposes. The archives have supported classroom instruction, family genealogies, museum exhibits, and academic scholarship. They've been the source for many dissertations and book projects covering diverse subjects including local tribal and town histories, colonial wars, natural resources, religious studies, and women's studies. One of the center's most valuable services is its research assistance. For those unable to visit in person, the center offers research services for projects about genealogy, houses, neighborhoods, businesses, and other topics. Most services are free for members, while non-members receive an initial 45-minute inquiry at no cost before fee-based services apply. The Old Mystic Oral History Project. Among the center's innovative initiatives is the Old Mystic Oral History Project, which was highlighted in an exhibit at the Otis Library in Norwich, Connecticut in August 2023. This project captures first-hand accounts from local residents to preserve living memories alongside historical records. The center actively seeks contributions to this oral history collection, accepting photographs, video recordings, and other documentation of the greater Old Mystic community over time. This project exemplifies how the center bridges past and present through active community participation, creating a living archive that grows with each personal story shared. Community engagement and support. The Old Mystic History Center thrives on community support and offers multiple ways for history enthusiasts to get involved. Membership provides benefits including free use of the library, research assistance from friendly volunteers, and a quarterly newsletter. Additionally, as an incorporated genealogy center recognized by the state of Connecticut, members receive a card allowing access to Connecticut vital records at town clerk's offices and other municipal repositories. Volunteers are the lifeblood of the center, assisting with greeting visitors, helping with research projects, entering items into databases, and supporting ongoing projects and exhibits. After 6 months of service, volunteers receive a free 1-year membership, a testament to how the center values their contributions. The center welcomes financial donations as well as contributions of research papers, family records, photos, books, and other objects of interest to the community. These donations ensure that the center can continue its mission of preservation and education for future generations. Educational outreach and exhibits. Beyond its role as an archive, the Old Mystic History Center actively shares its collections through exhibits and educational programs. In 2023, the center showcased its manuscript, map, and artifact collections at the Otis Library in Norwich, bringing local history to a wider audience. The center serves as a valuable resource for educators, students, and academic researchers seeking accurate historical information about the region. By making its collections accessible, the center helps ensure that the stories of Southeastern Connecticut, from indigenous peoples to colonial settlers to more recent residents, are told with accuracy and respect. Preserving cultural heritage in a changing world. The Old Mystic History Center's work aligns with broader efforts to preserve folk and traditional arts across Connecticut. While not directly affiliated with state programs, the center's mission complements initiatives like the Connecticut Cultural Sustainability Program, which supports traditional artists and cultural communities throughout the state. By documenting local history and cultural practices, the center contributes to a larger tapestry of preservation efforts that help maintain Connecticut's rich cultural heritage. This work is particularly important in a rapidly changing world where traditional knowledge and practices might otherwise be lost. A legacy worth celebrating. The Old Mystic History Center is more than just a repository of artifacts. It is a living testament to Southeastern Connecticut's vibrant history. From Eva Butler's groundbreaking work to today's community-driven initiatives, it represents an enduring commitment to preserving cultural heritage while fostering curiosity about the past. Whether you're tracing your genealogy, researching for academic purposes, or simply curious about local history, The Old Mystic History Center invites you to uncover stories that shape our understanding of this unique region. Through its collections and programs, it ensures that these tales remain accessible, not just as relics of history, but as vital threads in our shared narrative. As the center continues to adapt to changing times while honoring its founding mission, it stands as a model for how small, community-based historical organizations can make a significant impact on preserving local heritage for generations to come.
Wow, that's quite a lot that you got going on at the Old Mystic History Center.
We do. We try and encompass as much as we can.
You know, I saw during the video a thing called oral history, the memory bank.
The Memory Bank, yes. It's a
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, project we started in 2023. It's actually kind of my personal favorite, one I do a lot with. And what we do is we try and find local residents, and we call it the greater Old Mystic area. And we invite them to come down to the History Center and kind of record their history. You know, most history learns out of a history book. And when you talk to somebody more in their personal experience, it's just a little more personal. And we've learned things we never knew before. So a really great project, and always looking for volunteers.
Oh, it's a good way to get the news out about the center also. You know, it's called the Old Mystic History Center, but it used to be the Indian and Colonial Research Center.
Yep.
And yeah, I remember when the sign came down, I drive by there all the time, you know, and I've been in there a couple of times now, but so much is going on in there. And you've got different exhibits that you do.
We do. We rotate exhibits. We have one on Mr. Eldridge right now. He's sort of a local celebrity from a long time ago that had his own little museum and exhibits. That's our current one we have going right now.
Well, we've got a video about that. Why don't we run the Charles Q. Eldridge video?
The current exhibit at the Old Mystic History Center is about Charles Q. Eldridge, Mystic's historical eccentric and his Museum of Curios. Charles Q. Eldridge, often remembered as one of Mystic's most colorful characters, left a lasting legacy through his private Museum of Curiosities and his contributions to the local community. Born in Old Mystic as the youngest of 8 children, Eldridge's life was marked by eccentricity, resilience, and an enduring fascination with history and artifacts. Early life and transformation. Eldridge grew up in Old Mystic during a time when the village was bustling with activity. As a boy, he worked various jobs, including farming for 8 cents a day and road construction. His adventurous spirit led him to Wisconsin in 1862, where he worked in timber operations, developed a strong work ethic, and earned respect for his bravery, most notably saving a man swept under a logging crib by a river current. After gaining experience in Wisconsin and later in Hoosick Falls, New York, Eldridge became a successful businessman. He operated factories, mills, and machine shops while constructing over 200 buildings during his 2 decades there. Despite personal tragedies, including the loss of his first wife to typhoid fever and his son to suicide, Eldridge remained resilient. Returned to Mystic. In 1912, Eldridge returned to the west side of the Mystic River and built an impressive home on River Road where he had grown up. This house featured modern amenities such as electric lights and fireplaces capable of burning large logs. The 3rd floor housed an art gallery with 138 pictures, showcasing his appreciation for creativity and craftsmanship. The Museum of Curiosities. At age 72, Eldridge constructed a private museum on his property in 1917. Initially containing around 300 items, the collection eventually grew to thousands of curiosities that fascinated visitors from far and wide. The museum became a popular destination, attracting over 500 visitors annually. Exhibits included a 4-foot bronzed cucumber, Harriet Beecher Stowe's handbag, a lightning-struck flagpole, a cannonball from Fort Sumter, Thomas Edison's first incandescent light bulb, a massive whale skeleton measuring 125 feet. Eldridge's museum reflected his unique personality and passion for preserving historical artifacts. Each item told a story, whether tied to local history or distant adventures. Legacy. Although the museum was demolished after Eldridge's death in 1937 and its contents auctioned off, his legacy endures in Mystic's collective memory. His homestead still stands as a testament to his life's work and eccentric character. Eldridge's contributions extended beyond his museum. He embodied the spirit of Old Mystic through his entrepreneurial ventures, commitment to preserving history, and ability to bring joy to those around him. His story highlights the importance of individuality in shaping community identity, a theme that resonates deeply with the values of Southeastern Connecticut. Today, Charles Q. Eldridge is remembered not only for his eclectic collection, but also for the vibrant energy he brought to Old Mystic. His museum may be gone, but its impact remains woven into the fabric of local history, a reminder that even the quirkiest characters can leave an indelible mark on their communities.
Wow, can you imagine turning left off of Main Street in Old Mystic, taking a left at the light onto River Road, and running into that skeleton of a whale?
Must have been something else,
It was
yeah.
100 years ago. It was just sitting out there on the lawn.
Quite an eclectic museum, too, full of stuff. And you look at that picture.
7,000 items,
Yeah.
all kinds of things. Well, so how does the exhibit go? I mean, you got this exhibition coming on. Is it just a book of his things? And
We have pictures and different, I would say, artifacts, not physical, but photographs, documents, and you can come in during our business hours, and the exhibit's in the main hall, and read about it and look around.
Yeah, because they said when he passed, they sold the house and they auctioned off all the items that were there, and what the family didn't take. 7,000 things. I mean, we get into helping people downsize it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to catalog and then place 7,000 items somewhere.
Well, and interesting enough, we talk about our oral history project. One of the people we interviewed, her mother owned a number of nursing homes in Old Mystic and cleaned out a house and came across a number of his papers.
Oh, really?
That were never taken. So we hope that she'll donate them to us someday. She has hinted that she will. So yeah.
So yeah, that's quite the exhibit, I imagine. 100 years ago. But he had quite a life, and it's great that the History Center is cataloging all these things. So we can find out what happened here. 100, 200, 300 years ago. It's great that people like yourself are into this, making history available to people. And we do have a video that shows the people that were behind setting up the Old Mystic History Center.
The Old Mystic History Center was originally named the Indian and Colonial Research Center. Let me tell you about how it came to be. The story of the Old Mystic History Center begins with Eva Lutz Butler, who lived from 1897 until 1969. Eva was a trailblazing historian and anthropologist whose passion for history defied societal norms of her time. Eva Butler conducted archaeological digs, anthropological interviews, and authored academic articles during an era when such pursuits were uncommon for women. Her work spanned Indigenous and colonial history, focusing on areas such as Montville, Groton, and Ledyard. She also co-founded the Tomaquag Indian Museum in Oshawa, Rhode Island, with Princess Redwing in 1958. Butler's extensive research and collection of manuscripts, photographs, maps, genealogical records, and cultural artifacts laid the foundation for what would become the Indian and Colonial Research Center in 1965. Her contributions continue to inspire researchers and visitors today. Eva Lutz Butler was the primary catalyst for the center's creation, as it was established to preserve her extensive collection of historical materials. Her decades of research, including notebooks, manuscripts, and artifacts, formed the core of the Indian and Colonial Research Center's initial holdings. In summary, while Eva Lutz Butler's work provided the impetus and content for the ICRC, Mary Virginia Goodman, Carol W. Kimball, and Harry W. Nelson were more directly involved in its formal establishment and initial operations. The Duchess of Noank, Mary Virginia Goodman, born Mary Virginia Morgan in 1897, was a prominent figure in Groton, Connecticut, known for her contributions to local history and education. She authored a compilation of works called Noank Notes, which can be found in local libraries. Additionally, Goodman wrote over 500 columns for local newspapers, including the Norwich Bulletin. Goodman's connection to the Indian and Colonial Research Center, known as ICRC, was significant. She was one of the founding members of the ICRC in 1965, alongside Harry W. Nelson and Carol W. Kimball. She served as the center's first vice president and later became president for over 17 years. Goodman's involvement with the ICRC was part of her broader interest in preserving local history. Of Mohegan descent, Goodman brought a unique perspective to the ICRC's work. Her contributions helped shape the center's extensive collection of indigenous and colonial materials, which includes anthropological field notes, historical records, and artifacts related to Native American tribes throughout New England. Goodman's legacy extends beyond her written works and involvement with the Indian and Colonial Research Center. She was a teacher in various Groton schools, founded the Noank Historical Society, and was affectionately known as the Duchess of Noank. Her passion for history and education left a lasting impact on the preservation of Southeastern Connecticut's cultural heritage. Carol W. Kimball and her legacy at the Indian and Colonial Research Center. In 1965, Carol Kimball joined forces with other local historians to establish the Indian and Colonial Research Center in Old Mystic. The center was created to house the extensive research collection of Eva Butler, a renowned anthropologist and historian. Carol played a pivotal role in opening and directing this vital institution. A member of numerous historical organizations, including the Daughters of the American Revolution and the Mayflower Society, Carol was affectionately known as the matriarch of Groton history. Her dedication to preserving local heritage inspired generations. As a director of the ICRC, Carol worked tirelessly to preserve manuscripts, photographs, genealogical records, and artifacts that tell the story of Southeastern Connecticut's indigenous peoples, colonial settlers, and maritime heritage. Carol W. Kimball passed away in 2010 at age 94. Her legacy lives on through her books, her work at the Indian and Colonial Research Center, and her tireless efforts to keep Southeastern Connecticut's history alive for future generations. Harry W. Nelson played a crucial role in the ICRC's founding, along with Mary Virginia Goodman and Carol Kimball. Nelson, a retired teacher from Fitch High School in Groton, was instrumental in the practical aspects of setting up the center. He worked on restoring the 1856 Mystic Bank building, installing shelving, and preparing the space to house Butler's collection. In summary, while Eva Lutz Butler's work provided the impetus and content for the ICRC, Mary Virginia Goodman, Carol W. Kimball, and Harry W. Nelson were more directly involved in its formal establishment and initial operations.
Well, that's great that people like yourself are so involved with this.
Thank you.
You know, how did you get involved in history like this?
Just as a child, fell in love with it as a young child, as long as I can remember. I think growing up in Mystic, we had so much history around, and it's always been a passion of mine, and something that I've continued on to my adult years. And like I said, when they had an opening, I jumped on the opportunity.
Yeah, I guess doing the oral history is a lot of fun if you're into history and talking to people that actually lived it.
It is. It absolutely is. And the stories you hear are just things you can't read in a book. And the experiences that they share are stuff that, as a lifelong student of history, I never knew, especially when it comes to sort of the broader national events that took place and seeing people's experiences at that time.
I mean, it's great going to the museum itself and seeing the bars on the window from when it was a bank,
Yep.
100 or almost 200 years ago now, you know, and going inside and seeing what Harry Nelson had done, you know, putting up the shelves and the cataloging that goes into that. I mean, all of those notebooks and everything that are in all those bookshelves, it's amazing. And now you know, I guess you're digitizing a lot of that.
But we are, and that's an ongoing process, and actually recataloging, you know, some of the stuff that was cataloged years ago may have said Stone Point as far as an arrowhead, but there's more to it than that. You know, what is it specifically? So it's an ongoing process to continue to catalog and digitize what we have, yep. I'm always looking for volunteers to help.
And other than stopping in, you can go to the oldmystichistory.org and sign up there, can't you?
You can, absolutely, yep.
You know, and they're always look. You know, this being a public access show, we're always promoting the nonprofit businesses in the area and the associations in the area, and they're always looking for help. So if you can donate anything, monetary donations, time, or even materials, if you have something that would qualify as history, especially in this area, in the greater Old Mystic area. It's not greater Mystic area like the Chamber of Commerce. They are really focusing on what happened in a certain area of Southeastern Connecticut, and it's great to see. I mean, you go on the road. You've taken your show on the road, right?
Yep.
Up to the Otis Library.
Up to Otis. Myself, one of the other board members, Richard, we made an exhibit, took it to the Otis Library in Norwich, and it's interesting. Although we do concentrate on the Great Old Mystic area, the tie-ins between both areas and other areas of Southeastern Connecticut and Rhode Island are pretty incredible.
Well, that's also what Kimball said. She helped, Kimball or Goodman, I forget which one, helped set up the Tamaquag Museum over in Rhode Island.
Correct.
Yep. And then you've got volunteers like Steve Spillane I ran into last week, who was, down from the Uncasville Museum.
Yes.
So
yep.
Always looking for volunteers to help out, and it's great that, people like you are helping out, and we try, Bridget and I try to help out,
Yep.
doing something like this. So I hope you enjoyed this. We are looking forward to their next couple of shows. We're going to be with, we're doing the Nature Center, Denison Pequot Seapost Nature Center. And then May is going to be, it looks like it's shaping up to be Theater Month. We definitely have the United Theater coming in, and they're getting ready to do a move from Nashville, bringing country music north. So the United Theater will be talking about that. And then after that, we've got the Eugene O'Neill Theater folks coming in. Tiffany will be coming in to tell us all about what happens over in Waterford at the theater, and then we're trying to get, there's some other theaters that we've had the Granite Theater on already, but there's a particular one we're trying to get in, and then hopefully that'll make it Theater Month on Nautical Tales and Nature Trails. But John, thank you so much
for coming in.
I mean,
my pleasure.
It's been great, that we were able to do this, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in for the next one. We'll see you later.